Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone. I'm Dustin Kane, and with me, as always, is Chris Gramlich. Chris, how are you doing?
Good, Dustin. Good to be with you again.
Yep, excited today to be talking about PPC advertising on Amazon. This will be a fun topic. We're going to try to just cover the basics, sort of explain what it is, how it works. If you're just now starting to sell on Amazon, you're going to have to enter this world of pay-per-click advertising, and it can be wild, and it can be overwhelming too to a lot of new sellers, all this stuff. So we're going to try to really break down just the main components of what it is, how it works, and just a few tips on quickly getting yourself set up with your first couple of campaigns. So, Chris, let's dive in. This will be
For sure.
be a lot of fun. We've both you and I have spent a lot of time in Amazon's advertising campaign manager over the last years, and we've learned a lot, obviously, on what to do, just sort of best practices, and also we talk to Amazon sellers every day in our roles with Solozo, helping people that are struggling with their advertising and looking for support as well. So let's dive in and just give a general overview. Chris, why don't you just give a brief explanation of what pay-per-click advertising means?
For sure. Well, it stands for pay-per-click, and it's ads that you run on your products that show up on Amazon search results. And what you're doing, you're targeting keywords that you want your product to show up for when a customer goes in and types it in the Amazon search bar. But before that, there's two different types. There's a Seller Central account and then a Vendor Central account. Like 90% of the people we talk to have Seller Central accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So it works in both areas. But in Seller Central, what you're doing is you're just setting up an ad campaign. And there's different types there. We can break it down here in a minute. But yeah, basically what you're doing is you're advertising your product on Amazon's platform so that it gets discovered. So you start generating sales. So you start getting that Amazon flywheel going.
Exactly. So I think to even break it down more, what's happening is if I was a customer going to Amazon and I type up in the search bar dog leash and hit search, then the word that I typed in is the keyword or the search term. So at the top of that search, you're going to see 2 or 3 or 4 products that just look like the regular products that are throughout the whole listing. In the product that you see, it'll say sponsored, and that means that brand or business is paying to be in that spot. They're bidding on that keyword, and they're bid 1. So basically, every time somebody searches, Amazon's doing an auction in the background of all the people who are bidding on those ad spots. So there's a lot that you have to break down, determining like what keywords you're wanting to bid on, and then what do you bid for each keyword. And we'll talk about how you can set up campaigns where Amazon basically does that for you, which is called automatic targeting. And then you have other campaigns that are called manual targeting campaigns. But what we're talking about here, where you're putting your product at the top of the search for specific keywords, is called sponsored product ads on Amazon. Yep. So you don't have to create, you don't have to make any sort of creative. It's just your listing showing up at the top of the search or in any section where Amazon offers those sponsored spaces.
Yep, and there's it's all you mentioned a bidding system. So if you want to get to the top of the search, you're going to have a higher bid or explain to or show Amazon that you're willing to pay more on a cost per click to take that spot over. And there's ways to do that. And Solozo is one of them where we automate this process so that you don't have to constantly update your bids. Our software will do that for you automatically so that you get to that top of search, or you can set it to the top of search so you start to generate more sales through here. Now, this is definitely, be prepared like on something like this to go in the red for a little bit. This is something where you're going to invest money, but what you're doing is you're trying to improve your ranking for that keyword. Because the whole point is to be on page 1 for the keywords you're targeting. So you will, invest some money here on ads And this is, again, like we talked about on previous episodes, where your listing is super, super powerful. Like you want to make sure your listing has all that stuff that we touched on in our previous episode, because this is going to help your ads perform better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I think to dive even further, what happens is you're not getting charged when your ad shows. You're only getting charged when somebody clicks on your product and then goes actually to your product page. That's why it's called pay per click. You're only paying for the clicks. So then what you have to evaluate is you will see certain keywords where they get clicked a lot and don't convert to sales. And then you'll see some keywords where they convert really well to sales. And so then you have to make the decision on what you're going to do with the bids on those particular keywords. A metric that gets thrown around a lot and what's shown in your campaign manager in Amazon is ACOS, so ACOS, and that's your advertising cost of sales. And so that's actually the ad spend that you've spent divided by the total revenue that you've created from ads. So that's a good measure to determine if you're profitable on certain keywords. So that's something you're going to be looking at quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Real quick, Chris, let's talk. So we're talking about sponsored product, but there's also sponsored brand advertising. That's a little different. So you want to talk about where that shows up and what you have to do to set up sponsored brand?
Yeah, so that's the different type of campaign structure. When you go to set up a campaign, it'll add product or sponsored brand. Sponsored brand allows you to do like a headline ad at the top of the keywords you're targeting. They used to call them headline search ads, but they then changed them. But what this allows you to kind of showcase all the products that you have to offer for that search. So we're looking at dog brush here. When I click on this ad on dog brush, it will take me to this brand's page where I can see all of their dog brushes, not just one or two. Whereas sponsored product ads, they're just product-based, individual products only. Sponsored brand allows you to showcase more of your products, which hopefully helps with your conversion rate. You kind of get maybe more than one sale there, but it gives you kind of an authority for that keyword you're targeting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right, let's talk about the different types of campaigns that you can set up. So we talked, there's an automatic targeting campaign and a manual targeting campaign. So Chris, what's the difference between auto targeting and manual targeting?
Good question. So we get this a lot too. Auto campaigns are campaigns that Amazon controls where your product shows up at. So Amazon's going to kind of scrape your listing, and they're going to see what keywords that are in your titles, your bullets, your description that are relative to the customer searches. So again, this goes back to the listing that we talked about in previous episode, where you want to make sure all your keywords are in there, because Amazon's going to use this data when you start running ads for that product. So automatic campaign is when Amazon controls where your product shows up based off of how your listing is optimized. Manual campaigns are where you provide keywords to Amazon. So you come to the table with the list of keywords and you're like, Amazon, I'm going to bid on these keywords. And your bid is, again, what you're willing to pay on a cost per click. But these are keywords that you provide to Amazon and that you want to bid on. To get these keywords, you can use the Amazon search bar. We talked about a few free tools in our past episodes that you can get keywords from. You can do some reverse ASIN searches on your competitors, but you want to probably have anywhere from like 15 to 20 that you really want to target. And then you can set up a separate campaign in a manual campaign where you maybe have more long tail keywords that you can focus on. And there's different types of campaigns, match types that you can do, but we'll touch on that here in a second as well.
Sure. Thanks for the explanation, Chris. So let's talk about now what are the pros and cons to each type of campaign. So I'll start with the auto campaign. The pro to the auto campaign is the convenience. You just turn it on and Amazon will start showing it for all kinds of keywords. And it'll show it in lots of places. It'll also, a keyword can also be a competitor's product page. So that the list, the ASIN, which is their product identifier, is the actual keyword. And so your product will show up on their product page as well. So when you set up an automatic campaign, the benefit is it's super fast. You just turn it on and go. The negative is you can't control the bid at the keyword level. You have a master bid that you have at the campaign ad group level. So there's a lot of inefficient spending and potentially misallocated. It could be you're not bidding high enough for certain words and it's too much, it's overbidding on others. So there can be some real inefficiencies there, as well as there can be a lot of search terms that Amazon is showing your ad for that for some reason pique the customer's interest enough for them to click it, but it's just different enough from what they're searching for that they don't convert, and you waste a lot of money on those. And so unless you're really maintaining and managing your automatic campaign with negative keywords, which we'll talk about later, then that's the negative, is there can be wasted and inefficient and missed opportunities on your ad spend. Why don't you talk about now for the manual campaign, what are the pros and cons for the manual targeting campaign?
For sure. But just kind of touch on that. In the manual, you control which keywords you show up for, and you control the bids on each individual keyword. To Dustin's point, in the auto campaign, it's one bid, one campaign, and everything gets the same bid. So you could be, like you mentioned, you could be bidding on something that doesn't give you any conversion, and you're just wasting money. I like for the manual, that's the pro, is that you control what your product shows up for, and you control the bid on each individual keyword. Amazon doesn't show you differently. You're gonna dictate how your product shows up based on how aggressive your bid is for the keywords you're targeting. And on my screen here, you can see that, and for those of you listening, all I've done is just typed in dog brush in the search bar and hit the space button. And then I get a list of keywords that Amazon, or search terms that Amazon is suggesting that other people have used when looking up for a dog brush. So there's dog brush for shedding short hair, shedding for long hair. Like, all these would give you good keywords that you could target in a manual campaign, and then you can control the bid on those. So that's the pro of a manual, is that you get more control of the ad.
Yeah, and let's talk about the bid itself and why it changes per keyword or search term. Is you typed in initially dog brush. Okay, dog brush is very, very broad. If I'm a dog owner and I'm looking for a brush, there's so many variations. Is it a huge brush? Is it a small brush? Is it what's the point of the brush? There's dog brush is a term that gets searched a lot, but it's broad. So to bid on that keyword is going to be more expensive. There's going to be a lot of competition for that keyword. So if you have a 50-cent bid, your ad may not show hardly at all. You might be outbid, and your ad is showing up on like page 4 of the search results. And so you're not winning enough. But it may also be that that's a keyword you don't want to bid on, because it can be, you might be wasting money. Conversely, if you have those longer tail keywords, which long tail means there's a lot of words in it. So you had the dog brush, what was the dog brush for
shedding, short hair. Yeah.
Shedding, short hair. Okay. Much more specific, much more targeted. That bid, you're going to be able to show your ad for that keyword for cheaper than just the word dog brush. There's going to be less competition potentially on that keyword. And so that's why it's important to be able to be adjusting those bids at the keyword level. And ideally down the road, when you're really trying to optimize your campaigns, you're trying to find the sweet spot on every keyword where you are showing the ad, it is generating sales, and it's profitable. Yeah. So that's what you're really going after. But I think there's a lot of confusion at times on those bids, and why it's important for there to be different bids on different keywords. I also feel like there's confusion when people set up an automatic campaign, all they're hearing is the automatic part, and they think that it's automatically doing everything that you would need to make that campaign successful, and that it's not true. The only thing that is automatic about an automatic targeting campaign is it's automatically finding search terms to show your ad for. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. It's not changing your bid. It's not making negative keywords for you. It's not doing any of that stuff. It's just a campaign that Amazon runs and shows up your product based off of the listing. There's more to it than just running an automatic.
Yeah. All right. So let's say now somebody has these campaigns set up. They're running these campaigns and it's their first time. They've been doing it for a week. Or let's say they just set up an automatic targeting campaign for their product and it's been running for a while now, and they're looking at it and they see their ACOS is kind of high, 50, 60%, maybe higher. And they're concerned. Just real quick, I think we could wrap it up by just saying, what are some basic steps you would take to start optimizing your campaigns?
Yeah. First one, be patient. A lot of people will launch a campaign today and then come in tomorrow and start making changes to it. And there's just not enough data yet. So my first recommendation is be patient. Don't get all scared that your ACOS is high, especially at the beginning, because at the beginning you're trying to buy traffic and your listing hasn't been proven yet. So you should expect a high ACOS, especially at the beginning. So first thing to do is be patient. Let the data come in. If you're not getting any impressions or you're not getting any clicks after a few days, then you would want to increase your bid. So little things, but don't go in there and start changing stuff and changing your targeting or changing your bids on things. Just let things go slowly at the very beginning.
And you're talking about an automatic targeting campaign, correct?
Yeah. Because like if your default bid is 75 cents, if you're not getting any traffic, then you may want to increase that bid after a few days. So the next thing I would do is inside your Seller Central account, there's a section. If you click on the ad group name, you can go to the search term area. The search term area is like it's your search term report that shows you what search terms your product is showing up for. So that's a good place to see where Amazon is showing up your product. And if there's anything in there that doesn't make sense, let's say like this dog brush example, we don't sell a dog brush for short hair. We sell one for long hair, and you don't want your product to show up for the short hair. You need to make that a negative exact in that automatic campaign so that you stop spending money on it because it hasn't converted yet. And those are only on search terms that you've gotten a lot of traffic to. If you see a lot of traffic to a search term that's taking up a lot of your budget and it's not converting, it's probably a good idea to get rid of that by making it a negative exact in that automatic campaign.
And I'm going to interrupt you. So when you make a negative exact, that means that Amazon is no longer going to be showing your product for that keyword that you just made a negative.
Correct.
Yeah. So that there's confusion in that regard as well. So I wanted to clear that up of what you're telling Amazon to do when you make a negative is to stop showing your product for that keyword.
Right.
So now you've made some negatives in your auto campaign. You've run it for a long time. There's data there. When do you take your stuff and make manual campaigns? At what point in your strategy do you open up manual campaigns and start adjusting the bids on each keyword?
Yeah, you could do it from 3-4 days in, but and start making manual campaigns. That's not a bad idea, but you can always have a manual campaign created maybe within the next 7 to 14 days. But what you're doing again is you're looking at that search term report in your automatic campaign and you're finding search terms that your product converted on and you're removing those from your automatic campaign so that you can bid on them in a manual campaign more aggressively because it's already been proven in your automatic campaign. So you're taking it out of your auto, putting them in a manual because now you want your auto to find new terms because it's already been tested already. That previous term has already been tested. So you'd want to put it in a manual where you can control the bid, you can control the budget. And there's different match types, broad, phrase, and exact. They kind of, the name kind of speaks for themselves. Broad is like a wide net. You're showing you're telling Amazon, show my product for any type of keyword that has these words in it in any order. It can be in any order. So dog brush for shedding. It could be golden doodle dog brush for shedding, like any order.
Right.
Phrase, it has to be in that particular order. So the words have to follow together. They have to be in that same order. And then exact match is exactly what you want to bid on, the exact same term that you converted on in your automatic campaign. A lot of people test all three. That's not a bad strategy. You can test all three. Sometimes a broader or phrase converts differently than an exact match. Mm-hmm. You can test those out separately. I would put those in a separate ad group, or I'd put those in a separate campaign to kind of, so you can look at the data better. Mm-hmm. But after your auto converts, the next thing, or after your auto campaign has been running for about a week or so, the next thing to do is to launch a manual campaign, and you can test different match types, broad, phrase, or exact.
When you put those keywords in the manual campaign that you've proven in the auto, you need to also make it a negative exact in the auto.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that.
Yep. And that way you don't want your campaigns basically bidding against each other for the same keyword, and you're not getting the bid that you want out of that manual campaign. So you definitely want to be making sure you're adding negatives when you move campaigns out. All right, so let's talk now just real brief. There's lots of tools out there that do this, that help automate this process, because there's a lot going on. You could, Chris, you and I talk about this all the time. We've spent hours poring over these search term reports, going through the data, making spreadsheets, and filtering the spreadsheets by ACOS, and then making all these adjustments, bid adjustments. There's a lot to it. So there's lots of tools out there that help this process. Solozo is one that does this. But even still, even if you're going to use a tool to automate this, you need to have a good understanding of what the advertising process is, because that way you can help design the strategy behind what you're trying to do, and what stage of the product lifecycle you're in, whether you're launching the product where you need to be more aggressive, or where it's a more stable listing where you're trying to make your ad spend profitable and something that you can continue to do. So really understanding how it works is important. And then once you do, I highly recommend people dig in and really run their first campaigns themselves, so they get an idea of what's going on. And then automating it down the road is the next step that you want to do, so that you're not having to do all of this work manually.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. It could take you 6-7 hours a week just to optimize your campaigns once you get fully scaled up. But yeah, to your point, there is tools out there that can help with automating your ad process. But I would first, and to your point, I would first learn how to do this. Learn how to set up an ad campaign, learn the difference between a broad, phrase, exact, learn sponsored brand, sponsored product ads, some sponsored display, and learn what all that is, so that you can understand what the tool is doing, or what your VA is doing, or whoever you outsource this to in the future, so you know what they're doing, because you want to have some idea what's really happening. And this is changing a lot. Like Amazon has changed advertising on Amazon's platform very fast this year. Yeah. I mean, there's been new features coming out. You got sponsored brand video now. You got display. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's been rolling out. So I would look for more money to be poured into advertising on Amazon. Cost per clicks are going to go up, but it's going to be, this is the way to kind of show Amazon that you want to rank your product, because every time somebody buys your product through your ad, Amazon sees that, and it will boost your ranking up organically for that keyword that customer used. So it's important to have good keywords you're going to target, make sure you're running ads, because it'll only help in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, we'd love to talk to you out there. If you're wanting to discuss your ad strategy, or how Solozo could help you out with your advertising on Amazon, you can book a call with either Chris or I. You can go to solozo.com, and then you can click where you can book a call, schedule a call with either one of us. We'll be happy to talk with you. We'll schedule 30 minutes where we can talk all kinds of strategy, and we can show you a demo of Solozo as well and how it works. Also, for listening to this podcast, we have a special for you. You can get 20% off your first month with the code podcast20. So go to solozo.com, get started. Podcast20 is your code to get 20% off your first month. Chris, that was fun.
Yeah, how's it going? And we just scratched the surface. There's a lot more we can get into about this.
Oh yeah,
we'll talk more about it in the future.
Yeah, we will definitely be digging into the details of this, because this is a major. I mean, this is one of the most important steps to launch your product.
Yeah.
You put a product on Amazon and you don't run ads, most likely you
won't be found. No one's going to find you.
You won't be found. Amazon is a pay-to-play platform. There's no question about it. You got to pay to show your products on there. So yeah, it's a huge step, and we'll be really digging in future episodes on all the strategies and tips for advertising.
For sure.
All right, Chris, have a good one. Everyone out there, have a great day as well. We'll see you on the next episode.
All right, man. Bye.